You're listening to World of WWE, a WWE podcast. Hey guys, you're listening to World of WWE, a WWE podcast. I'm Ant.
I'm Dan. Carlos here. What's up, guys?
And we are here to talk about Friday Night SmackDown from February 12th, 2021. What did you guys think?
Decent show.
Yeah.
Really good.
There was a lot of good stuff going on. We saw Seth Rollins come back. We saw, didn't we see Bianca, Belair, and Sasha Banks? They kind of had a moment together, which was cool. Found out more about Elimination Chamber. So there was stuff going on. So let's dive into
this Sunday. So
yes, this Sunday, Elimination Chamber. That's what I'm trying to figure out, because I feel like on Friday they're gonna add more matches to the card. So we'll probably be dropping. Yeah, we're gonna be
have a match for Roman and all that stuff.
Yeah, so we'll see. Oh no, well there is gonna be a match with Roman, because remember the winner, wasn't it like the winner of the Elimination Chamber will fight Roman later in the night?
I don't remember. It's gonna be on the spot. Like once that winner wins, Roman's gonna come down.
Okay, so it's kind of gonna be almost like the 2010 when Batista beat John Cena.
Yeah. So whoever wins in the chamber gets a match against him.
Yes.
Right on the spot. Wow. Okay, they're kind of just screwing that person over here, but okay.
Yeah.
Hopefully Cesaro actually gets the chamber match. You guys check out Talking Good Match.
We'll talk about all the participants as we go through SmackDown. So let's jump in and cover it, because there's a lot that happened. So we started out, and Roman Reigns comes down with Jey Uso and Paul Heyman. And he talks about how Edge said he's going to wait till after the Elimination Chamber to name his opponent for WrestleMania. He basically bullies Adam Pearce and says that he's not dropping the Universal title until he wants to, and just that he's a dominant person. And then that's when Adam Pearce discusses the Elimination Chamber match that Shane McMahon helped him create. And he basically tells us that Jey Uso will be the first person involved in the Elimination Chamber match, and the next person would be Kevin Owens. And we also find out that Roman Reigns will fight the winner of the Elimination Chamber match later on, or on the spot, actually, excuse me, that night. So what did we think of that promo and finding out about the two matches for Chamber?
So we basically have two chamber matches that we know of.
Yep. There's the WWE.
So it kind of reminds me of like the 2000s chambers, where they would have Raw, like for one for the World Heavyweight title and then one for the WWE title. Like, reminds me of that.
Exactly. That's what I think they're doing. What about you, Carlos? What did you think?
It was a good promo. Straight to the point. Getting to build for the chamber and stuff.
Yeah, I thought it.
I like how Adam pitched the idea, and then Roman was like, because at first Adam was like, "Oh, you're defending championship inside." And then Roman was like, "No." He gave the floor to Paul Heyman. Paul Heyman was like, "It's gonna be with you can pick whatever you want, but Roman will face the winner of that match on the spot."
Yes.
I as much as I don't like it, as much as I think it's kind of stupid for them to do that, it's very good storytelling if you think about it, because Roman's the heel. He's supposed to be that kind of way. So, I mean, that's the head of the table.
Mm-hmm. My only question for this, and this is me coming like more, because I know I'm like always devil's advocate, but my only thing is that, like, where is he getting this power from? Like, I know he has Paul Heyman who helps him like do the contracts and like all of that, but like I know he's at the table, but like in an actual, and I know it's entertainment, but in an actual corporation, like, well, aside from him being, the one thing I like that they're saying is him being like, I'm the champion, like, what are you gonna do, fire me? Like, I like that makes sense.
Yeah, that makes sense.
That makes sense because he would. Like, you really need him. Whether you like him or not, he is a valuable player. So that makes sense to me. The stuff that doesn't make sense to me is who the fuck is Paul Heyman? Like, how does he have any pull in anything? You know what I'm saying? But
I mean, isn't he technically still in charge of like the creative team or something like that?
Yeah, but I mean, like, in like the universe, we don't know that. You know what I'm saying? Like, in the storyline, he's just Reigns' business partner, unless they're doing that sort of like, if you know type thing. Like, if you know Paul is in the creative, you're gonna know that he's gonna be sort of like. But that would be a good thing, Dan, that maybe if they did say that, they're like, well, Paul Heyman helps write the storylines, and this would make sense as to why Reigns is getting booked in all these matches. That would make sense because his advisor is running the show. But unless you're really smart and know that, you don't know that Paul is creative. So you're just kind of like, okay, Roman Reigns is making matches because he's at the table. But I do like that they brought in the fact of, I'm the champion. You don't want to lose me, so let me do what I got to do. Because that happens a lot in real life. You know, when you work with somebody who like comes in late, gets their way, does whatever they want, and then the boss is just like, well, we kind of help each other out. So yeah, so that makes sense. But yeah, all right. So moving on. So then we see Sonya Deville with Adam Pearce, and she talks about how it would be a good idea to do tag matches where the winners of the match would be involved in the Elimination Chamber. So the first qualifying match is Rey and Dominik Mysterio taking on the team of King Corbin and Sami Zayn. It was basic tag match. Zayn and Corbin got the win after a haluva kick, to Dominik. So Sami and Corbin will now be in the Elimination Chamber match, along with Jey Uso and Kevin Owens. So what did you guys think of this match and these two qualifying?
It was good.
Yeah. It was like a basic.
Yeah, I didn't really pay much attention to that match, but it was good.
Yeah. It was a basic. But did you
go? Looking really good, by the way. Yeah.
Who was that?
Dominik was looking really good.
Yes. I was surprised. Like, did you guys think Corbin and Zayn were gonna win? I wanted Mysterios to win, but then I thought, and I was like, I don't know if they're gonna do father versus son yet. But did you guys think that Corbin and Zayn deserve to win?
No, I didn't.
Yo, Dan just came out of the Macho Man Dan, did not care. All right. Yeah. I wanted Rey and Dominik to win too. It was okay, so moving on. We're like on a train here because not a lot happened. We see Robert Roode and Dolph Ziggler saying they want to be in an Elimination Chamber match. So then DeVille says, okay, well, to do that, you have to beat Cesaro and Daniel Bryan. So that match is made for later in the night. Now we have the Intercontinental title on the line between Big E and Shinsuke Nakamura. Before the match starts, there's some shenanigans going on backstage. Carmelo Sommelier Reginald shows up and he offers Sasha Banks a glass of champagne. He apologizes to her and he says that he will never drop the ball again. And then Sasha asked Reginald, did you mean what you said when you said I can beat Carmella? She laughs and then tells Reginald to send her regards to Carmella. And then we go to the ring. Well, let's dissect that for a minute. What did you guys think of that segment?
It was a good segment. I like how they got a little cookie still, some TV time. You know?
Yeah.
To get some TV time to police up because Sasha Banks helps out everybody. So.
Well, I was saying to Carlos in our last, I think in our last recording, I feel like we're gonna see heel Banks. I know Carlos was thinking that Bianca might turn heel, but they're sort of like dropping seeds. I remember, Carlos, you made a good point a while back. You sort of hinted that it looked as if Reginald might be sort of helping out Sasha Banks. And we're definitely seeing that. So now my question is, going forward, is Sasha going to rely on Reginald? And is that going to be her?
We'll have to find out.
Yeah, I think that's sort of what we're seeing. But so we have that. Then Big E is in the ring and he talks about how he's a fighting champion and he's ready to issue an open challenge. Apollo Crews comes down and he says he's ready for another title shot. And then Big E says that I'm issuing the challenge to anybody but you. And here was the weird thing. It looked as if Big E was turning a little heel here.
Go back to catering.
Yeah.
He said, go back to catering.
Yeah.
That was so funny, bro.
And I think the fact that he said, I will fight anyone but you, you start to wonder, well, why? Are you afraid? Are you afraid you're going to lose the title? So I think that's sort of like what we're seeing here. So then Shinsuke Nakamura comes out, and it's a match between Shinsuke and E. Pretty decent match. Big E goes for a big ending, but Shinsuke slides out of the ring, and Apollo Crews runs in and hits Big E. And then after the match, music hits, and then Crews backs up the ramp while talking trash. So what did you guys think of that?
It was good. It was pretty good. It was cool to see that the Continental Championship is dependent on SmackDown.
Yeah.
We haven't seen that in a while.
So now we're going to talk about Seth Rollins, and before we get to him, I did have a question for you guys, and I was really wondering your answer to this. So we know that Seth Rollins comes out, and the entire SmackDown locker room comes out as well. And my question to you guys is, why do you think they came out? I mean, we know, there's really no sort of storyline reason why, in my opinion, that they would come out. I mean, he was an a-hole. He cost them. Well, he didn't cost them, but like he said, he sacrificed himself at the Survivor Series, and now they're all coming out.
The last time we really saw him before he left, and that was just a way to kind of kill off his character. Not even.
And then he comes back, and now the superstars are out. And I get what they should have said was, they're wondering what he has to say, because last time he was in the ring with some of them, he turned his back on them. So all of them want to sort of see what he has to say, because they just said they're kind of coming out to sort of pay their respects to him. But my thought is, why would you want to respect somebody who turned their back on you? So that's the only sort of like thought I had on that. He comes back. He says it feels good to be back. It feels right. This is where I belong. He says Elias changed since he sacrificed himself. He said that
all they got was a bro kick. That's all he fucking got.
Yeah, he made it like it was like he got friggin' I don't know.
Head chopped off or something.
Yeah. He says that most of you know I became a parent. He's a proud father of a beautiful, perfect baby girl that has changed his life in ways he never dreamed of.
If that was true, then he would be a face right now. That doesn't make sense.
Yeah. And then he says,
I mean, of course, anyone who's going to be a father is going to change their life, but it doesn't mean that they have to change the way that they are. I mean, it just makes sense. If you really see how exactly has he changed? He's still a bad guy. How exactly does that change you?
So maybe they shouldn't have even had him say that line. Maybe it should have just been like, I had a baby and I had some time to reflect on things, but I don't care, you know?
He should have come back as a baby face, not a heel. No, but that's a good way to troll the fans.
I get it, but there comes a point where it's like, why do you keep trolling us? You know what I'm saying? Like, it's like, it's not cool anymore. Like, at first, the first couple of times, it's like, yeah, but he literally just did it last year. If it was like somebody, for example, like, I think it was, I don't know if Dan or Carlos said, I want to be about when they were in Canada and you hear Bret Hart's music. That's
about like when it was it wasn't right after the Macho Screwjob, but they had Shawn Michaels tease the fact that Bret Hart was going to come out and kick Shawn Michaels' ass.
Yeah.
Because that was a good heel thing to do.
And my thing is, it's nothing against.
Like, what you guys like? You guys get the burn it down. You guys think it's heel. No, I don't hate the burn down. I don't hate that. I just don't think it matches the character.
Like, that doesn't make sense to me.
That was a good way for the fans to feel. Because you'll believe, oh, he's going to be the babyface now. And then once you hear him actually get into it, you're like, oh, he's back to...
No. A good way to troll them would not be coming out of, like, the leather jacket and stuff. Like, be like, oh, looking like he's actually going to be a babyface instead of just the music. Like, have the costume and everything, and I'll come down and then be a complete dick and rip it off and be like that. I don't know.
That's trolling the fans.
Yeah, that's trolling the fans, but, like,
it
doesn't mean shit. The music doesn't mean shit if it doesn't match to the fucking character and it's going to be a troll.
You know, what
it doesn't come out. Now that's a troll.
Well, here,
that's a troll.
Here's what I think.
Burning down the bank.
Yeah, but he should have had the costume as well, is what I'm saying. He shouldn't have just had the music, because that's just fucking stupid.
I think the thing is this, and it has, in my take, it has nothing to do against Rollins. Rollins is great. He will always be great. I think it's more so of the fact that they keep doing the same things with different people. I don't think it's anything against Seth.
You mean the same thing?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, what do you mean?
What I mean by that is that, like, they do that a lot, where they try to troll us, and, like, it's just like,
no, really.
They did it. You said that they did it last year with him, where he came out.
A good way
Yeah, they do.
They had that Undertaker
that segment.
They had the John Cena Undertaker thing for 34, where they had the lights go on and everything, and then they had Elias come out. They're trolling us, and that just gets stupid after a while.
I mean, it's a good way to surprise us because you see it coming on and off, and then that's me.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and the thing too, you guys are all right. We're all gonna do, like, for example, I'm the type of person where friggin' Becky Lynch can do no wrong. So even if she's coming out dressing with that weird Irish dance that she was doing in the beginning of her career, I'm gonna be all for it. I just think for him, I think he deserves more than that, because he is a top dude and he is dominant.
I don't think Seth Rollins can do any wrong. I'm like a huge fan of him, even if that
because
you guys may not like think that segment was good, but I thought it was a good way.
That's
troll us, be like,
that's
like, it's like messing with our emotions. Like, you get us pumped because you'll see burn it down. Then when you actually hear him talk, and then he goes back to his own stuff, be like, oh.
I just have a question for you guys, and then we'll move on. What do you think this moment right here, him coming back, trolling the fans, what is that doing for his character that's different than he hasn't done before?
He's just starting a new start. Maybe he might build a new stable. He didn't call himself from the side. He called himself a leader.
Okay. So you think there might be some kind of, like, group kind of starting with this from this?
Embrace the vision.
Okay, how about you, Dan? What do you think is going to be new coming out of this, maybe? Like, what?
I don't see that there's going to be anything different. I just think that, it's a troll, even though I don't really like the troll. I think it was really, really bad way to do it. That's just my opinion. I don't see anything there's going to be anything different. I just see he's just going to stay the same heel. If he's going to do that, then he's going to stay the same heel.
I will say, I was watching the Royal Rumble on the network, like them getting ready for it. I think it's called, what's it called, guys? The day of? And watching him talk, like, not him being his character, but being Colby, like the real person. He is different. Like, just the way he used to, and this is the character. I'm not talking about the character. The character kind of similar, but like the person, hearing him talk, like when you see him in interviews, he has like a very sort of like intense personality. Like, he's very like go, 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 go. Like, he's like that. But now when he was talking, he seemed a little bit more calmer, a little more like laid back. And I think that having the daughter did that for him. And I just think that they try to drop little hints of that in WWE. And you got to either be full, this is the character, this is the person, or you can't. I feel like there's too much, like, oh, well, Seth is married to Becky, and Seth is a bad guy, but Becky's a good person. So that's like, we know too much about their personal lives for us to really see them as characters anymore, I think. Because when we see Seth Rollins, we know he's a good person. We know he's a great dad. We know he seems like a very caring person. But then you have the character and he comes out and he says, oh, I'm a great person, but my wrestling character isn't. So that's just, I would rather them not talk about any of that stuff. But he's back. He's saying all of this stuff. And he starts talking about how, like Carlos and Dan said, he pulls a swerve. He says, basically talks about how he's the great leader that SmackDown needs to push it into the future. He says that he's going to make it greater than it already is. That's when the SmackDown wrestlers have enough. They walk away. Rollins continues to talk crap, and everyone leaves except Cesaro, who looks at Rollins confused. And he says that he knows Cesaro would understand out of everybody. And then Rollins attacks Cesaro until Daniel Bryan runs down, makes the save, and Rollins looks on smiling. So it looks as if Rollins might be having an issue with Cesaro or Daniel Bryan down the line. What do we think? We talked about him coming out. What did we think of the aftermath?
We'll see.
Yeah.
I think it'll be interesting.
I'm excited to see Rollins and Cesaro because that's a pairing that you don't see a lot of. So I'm excited for that. Okay, then go ahead.
I like Cesaro. He's a good wrestler. I just don't really like the character. So it's like I don't really care about Cesaro that much, but I would like to see it. Like I know they would put on a good match. Don't get me wrong.
I love Cesaro.
Very interested in it, you know?
I love Cesaro. He's one of my favorites. In my opinion with him, and this is going to be different than you, Dan, I don't think Cesaro needs a storyline. Like, he needs a character. Don't get me wrong. Like, he needs a character. He needs to be who he is. But he's sort of the type of athlete where it's like he shows off his stuff in the ring. Like, he doesn't need to talk. However, the problem is they put him in storylines where he's sort of forced to talk. If they were to do where he was just this kind of like Timothy Thatcher over in NXT, you know, like Timothy Thatcher is very tough. He barely talks. He's just like in the ring putting holds on. Cesaro is a tough dude. But I see what you're saying, Dan.
I understand that. I just think maybe he needs to get more of a character.
Gotcha. They did kind of drop the ball with his characters. You know, first he was the Swish sort of like
or whatever the hell he was called.
Yeah, and then he was with the Real Americans. Then he had the Swiss Cyborg. Then he was like the Swiss like James Bond. The bar, like he's had a lot of different characters, and I think that's why for you, Dan, you might look at him a little differently because you're like, dude, like how many fucking people is this guy? Like he needs one. This is who I am. One
main character. Yes, he doesn't need like 5 nicknames or anything.
Yes, that makes sense.
Play 5 freaking characters because then it's just going to get boring.
Yes, I agree. And now here comes Dan's favorite lady, Pamela Rose Martinez. Bailey's taking on Liv Morgan tonight on SmackDown, and they had a pretty decent match. Like Liv Morgan's the bomb. Like I even knew before this match she was really good. But basically Billie Kay appears at ringside trying to apologize to Ruby Riott. Billy's resumes fall down, and Bailey rakes Liv's eyes and hits her with a rose dive. Or I thought it was the face plant, but I guess it's the rose dive for the win. So what'd you guys think of that?
It was good.
Yeah. How about you, Carlos?
I know she's like good, but it seems like they haven't really been doing much with
No.
I agree. Yeah, they have like they've only been sort of having her in the Riot Squad storyline with Billie Kay. What do you guys think of this storyline? Do you think it's getting old? Do you think it's good? What do you guys think?
I think it's kind of getting old.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I love Billie Kay, so I can't.
I don't think they should stop Billie Kay.
I don't think they should split them up. I loved her in the Iconics. That's just me, though.
Me too. No, I agree. I feel like the Iconics could have gone on for. That's something else with WWE that I have a problem with. They
split up a lot of teenagers too fast.
Yes.
And they don't need to.
Or, in my opinion, they end storylines too early.
I mean, I give you a good example. I don't know if you guys remember, but in early 2016, AJ Styles and Chris Jericho were a team.
Y2AJ.
3 freaking weeks.
Yep.
That team had so much potential, but no, they had to go with it just so they could do it at Mania 32. Wasn't freaking worth it.
Yeah. So now we're backstage. Cesaro and Daniel Bryan are talking. They're excited, and they're, going to fight to qualify for Elimination Chamber. We then see the Street Profits taking on Otis and Chad Gable, otherwise known as, aren't they like Alpha Academy? I think that's their name. The Street.
That shit now.
So the Profits got the win after Montez hit a frog splash. What did you guys think of that one? Oh, and then before it ended, they're walking out, and then Sasha Banks comes down and dances with them. What did you guys think?
Don't understand really why Sasha Banks walked out, but I was just like, I don't understand. Okay.
Do you guys think there was a point to that match?
Not really.
Because I'm trying to find the point. Yeah, I do like.
A good way to bring the Street Profits back in action.
Yep.
They haven't been in action in a while.
That's true. I love the Profits. They're my favorite tag team.
I like them. I don't think they really had anything planned, and they just needed something
to do. Yeah. So now we have SmackDown Women's Champion Sasha Banks. She comes into the ring, and she talks about Bianca Belair's big decision. She likes Belair a lot. She's like a little sister to her. Sasha says that there's just one decision for Belair to make, and that's me. Belair comes down, and she says that Banks is not the boss of her. Belair says it's her time, and she's enjoying every second of it, and everyone is talking about her decision. That's when Shayna Baszler and Nia Jax come out. They trash talk Sasha and Bianca until the four of them brawl, and Sasha and Belair send Baszler and Jax out of the ring. What did you guys think?
Decent segment. It was a pretty good segment.
I just wonder why they're trying to make Sasha and Belair friends right now, because they've done this before.
Maybe so that way, if they do have a match, it'll be more impactful.
True, but they've done this. Trish Stratus and Mickie James. Where it's like you said, Y2AJ, we're friends and now we're fighting. They do this all the time, and it's just I like Belair and I like Sasha. They're gonna tear the house down, don't get me wrong. But again, storyline. Next we have the Elimination Chamber qualifying match. Robert Roode and Dolph Ziggler, the tag team champions, against Daniel Bryan and Cesaro. And Cesaro and Bryan get the win after Dolph Ziggler taps out to Cesaro's sharpshooter. Chaos happens after the match. All of the members of the Elimination Chamber come out. They run out. Uso hits Cesaro with a chair. Zayn and Bryan fight. Zayn turns on Corbin. And then Kevin Owens comes down. He hits everybody with a stunner. He sits in the chair. And he tells Reigns that he's coming from him. They're not done, and Owens is not going anywhere. So
as much as I like Kevin Owens right now, don't think it's a good feud to go with again.
Yes.
Come on, just end the feud, man. Just end it at this point. It's over. You lost. Big deal.
I wonder, I feel like with WWE, it's almost like the sort of thing with the genie. You get 3 wishes. I wonder what they're trying to get out of this. The matches were great. They were so good. But normally after a last man standing, and I've said this before, that's normally the end of the rivalry. What else is there to do? He lost. However, I think the reason why they're continuing this is because they still have time till WrestleMania. And then I think there's Fastlane in March. So I think what they're doing is they're trying to do one more thing until WrestleMania, which is why I really don't like all the pay-per-views before WrestleMania, aside from Royal Rumble, because they're pointless. We already know in the Chamber that Reigns is gonna, win his match, because I feel like it's gonna be Edge and Reigns. You never know though. But
I'm pretty sure that's what they're going for here.
Yeah.
Reigns, Edge. I mean, because they had the whole thing with Randy Orton end. So I mean, why would you still have that keep going on if it's over?
How about you, Carlos? What are your thoughts?
No, I mean, Edge could always choose someone else. I'm thinking maybe he's going to go after Finn Balor.
That would be cool. I would like to see that, but I don't. Well, here's another possibility.
How's it looking right now? And I think, remember when you said that they might defend the NXT Championship at WrestleMania? I think they might have it like the triple threat: Kyle O'Reilly, Finn Balor, and Adam Cole.
That would be
that would be good. That would be good.
How they're heading right now, kind of, you know?
That would be good if they did that. Yeah, I could see that happening.
As much as I like that idea, I don't think WWE would do it.
They're so
WWE,
stupid.
they don't care.
They need to do that. That's a lot better.
They don't men's championship enough to actually make it, you know.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. But let's go over really quick before we leave.
I was also going to say there's actually another possibility that could happen. Like, what they could do is they could end up having Randy Orton win the Elimination Chamber, and they could have it go against Orton for the title.
No, please, no. They can't, Dan. They can't.
We know. I'm pretty sure it's not going to happen, but again, it's a possibility.
They can't, man. Because then what is the whole point with Alexa Bliss right now? What is the whole entire point?
Well, they can end up having the Fiend screw him out of the title and helping X win. You don't know.
I know, but
I don't want it to happen, but it's a possibility.
It's true. I did hear that when the Fiend comes back, he's going to have a different look. Somebody told me.
I get that as well.
I think it might have been you, Dan, that told me. Somebody told me this, and it would make sense. But let's go over quick.
What I heard is they're going to have him like come back with like a burnt side of his mask or whatever.
Yep. So the only match that's been made for SmackDown is the Elimination Chamber match. And we now know all the participants. You have Jey Uso versus Kevin Owens against King Corbin, Sami Zayn, Cesaro, and Daniel Bryan. But here's the thing, guys. I don't know if this is true or not. This is Wikipedia telling me, so it could be wrong. It says that the winner of the match, it says Elimination Chamber match for a WWE Universal Championship match later that night. Carlos, you're probably right, but Wikipedia is saying that the match is going to be later instead of right after. I don't know.
Yeah, that's what they said on SmackDown, right on the spot. So.
Yeah, and Wikipedia people can edit and like do whatever they want, so it's you can't really base it off of that. But yeah, so before we go, who are you guys thinking is going to win the Elimination Chamber match for the title shot? Who do we think it's going to be?
No. I mean, you know what I think could happen? Maybe it could be Jey Uso. Maybe. That's my prediction, Jey Uso.
Yeah.
I'm going to go with Cesaro.
Cesaro?
Yeah. I don't think so because of Seth Rollins. That's the only thing, I don't see what happened,
I'm either going to go with Kevin Owens, Cesaro, or Daniel Bryan. I would love...
Actually, no. I want to change my pick to Daniel Bryan. Yeah, I want to
because let me tell you...
win the Royal Rumble, but, it didn't happen. So I want to pick him for the Elimination Chamber. I still got to have a little faith in him.
Here is my thought on Daniel Bryan. And I really think, aside from Edge, he could have won the Rumble because think of the champions.
He really could have.
You have... The options would be either Bryan versus McIntyre, which I would be interested in seeing. Bryan versus Balor, which I would be interested in seeing, or Bryan versus Reigns, which they've had a great match in the past. So I could see it happening again. I don't know. Because you guys got to remember, one of these titles matches, I'm not going to say isn't going to be important, but Edge isn't going to pick one of these champions. So we have to sort of think now which sort of role they're going to go. So I do have a feeling like, I don't know, guys. Do you think it's going to be Edge and Reigns, or do you think it's going to be Edge and somebody else? Because right now it looks like WWE is pulling for Reigns and Edge, but they could just be doing that on purpose to guys think it's going to be him, and it ends up being somebody else.
I think in the professional chamber, and I think it's going to be Roman Reigns versus Edge at Mania. That's my prediction.
Okay. How about you, Carlos? Last.
What was the question?
Who do you think Edge is actually going to challenge for the title at Mania?
I want to see him versus Finn Balor. I feel like if he brought Roman Reigns freaking destroy him and injure him.
Ooh, strong words. Actually, for everyone wondering, I'm wearing my Edge shirt, the one that says "You Know Me." It doesn't fit right because last year I was an XL. Now I am a double X, and that's okay. I'm getting back. I'm gonna, get in the zone again. But thank you guys for tuning in.
Tuning in, Anthony. We don't want them to tune out.
Don't tune out, guys. Please stay listening.
Don't listen to Anthony, guys. Especially
Yeah.
when he's losing his mind like this.
Don't listen to me ever unless I don't know, unless I'm telling you about like a food recommendation.
Do something about wrestling unless he's wrong. I will make sure I will tell you guys if he's wrong. Don't worry, I got you guys covered.
Thank you, Dan. Also, I just want to shout out everybody who's been subscribing to us on YouTube. We now have 166 subscribers. Also, make sure you check us out on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Anchor Breaker, Google Podcasts, a bunch of different streaming sites. Find us on there. Also on our Instagram. I also created a link tree. I never heard of this, guys, but basically it's a little link that you can press and it has all the different links to like our Instagram page, our YouTube page, our Spotify, our Apple Podcast. So if you go under Instagram, Facebook, or Anchor, or they're all, that link tree is right there. So if you press it, you'll get the links to all of our different streaming playing services that are playing us. So again, thank you guys for checking us out, and we will see you next week with our next Friday Night SmackDown recap. Be safe.
Thank you guys. Bye.
Bye, guys.
Bye.